could check it on the thing.
It is live. It says, "Yay! The Given Trouble Show is live."
The Given Trouble Show is live.
Live.
Hi guys.
Hello, and welcome.
Of course, as soon as the show starts, I'm like, oh, now I have to adjust this and move this and put this over here, do that and dig my nose, scratch my bum bum, right?
Well, they can't see you scratching your bum bum, but
I'm like, thank God, right?
Small mercies. I have seen your bottom. It is indeed a small mercy.
So, Lisa, I know you're a comedian, right? A journalist. You do so many things. And you are also a writer. And you have a wonderful book called Home. And I think you were telling me you have a new edition to show up.
Yeah, so in May, a U.S. publisher called Delacorte Press republished. So they published a North American edition of the book, which was first published by Papillon Press in Dominica. And so now I have the North American edition. It is, It is hardcover. And folks, oh wait, sorry. I have little spatial problems here trying to figure out how to get the
a published hardcover book.
I have a hardcover book. Like, it's a hardcover book. My first hardcover book.
I have a problem with you. You're not posting hard enough. You're like, yeah, I will take you to publish through this. You have to get, Lisa, you're not bougie.
I also have no sense of like spatial because I've been trying for like half an hour to get this thing into
Lisa. How are we going to get our bags?
So anyway, the book is, it's been getting some really good reviews. Actually, we just got another good one, which does talk about the authorial preaching a little bit, but I will say yes, there was a little bit of that, but generally a good review. So I'm happy. The book is on Amazon, and you can also buy it off the Penguin Random House Books website. So, yay.
I think your book is lovely. I had the pleasure of reading it. I like your prose, how you describe things. It makes me really kind of feel it and be there, which I like because reading is all about escape for me. And it was nice to have a character that felt like somebody that I might have met or knew, as opposed to, random white girl with long hair. So I really appreciated that, and I hope you sell a bazillion copies. So
well,
the next FemCom show.
God is good and His mercy endured forever. I really hope that. Well, I mean, look, the response has been really good, and I happen to be an author of color. The book, the characters, you could tell from the front cover, is about a character of color, a girl. Mm-hmm. And these things are unusual enough in the publishing industry in the US that it has gotten me some notice. The book is also about mental health and how a teenager deals with depression and anxiety and a suicide attempt and all kind of thing. So it's really pretty much on point and timely about the concerns that people have been dealing with. So yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more. I really enjoyed your portrayal of the sort of like LGBTQI elements of the story as well.
Right, right.
So I thought it had some really cool elements that you don't really see in Caribbean books, So I think it's going to be a modern classic. I want to see it in schools. I want to see a lot of discussion around it. I mean, I know them things and our little Bible thumping scenarios here. It's
a
not
little rough.
It's not like me, but I think it's really cool, and congrats to you on your hard copy edition. I know you like hard things.
I love hard things. Oh my God, I'm such a fan of the hardness. It's weird, like there's certain milestones in a writer's career. The first time you publish, the first time you paid for publication, the first box of books you get and open, the first time you open your own book, and now I've discovered your first hard copy edition. So it's kind of a milestone, and yeah, anyway, Praise God. Yay!
Yay! Lisa, as two creatives of color, I guess, because I guess when you're not white, you're a color, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's
interesting.
how it works.
The language of this thing is so crazy. We have been out here doing femcom. We have been spending our time for the last few episodes. We've been touching on the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement and what's happening with that. I have to stop saying hashtag in front of it. I don't know why I do that. It's probably because I'm old. But
hashtag AF. Old AF. That is the hashtag. Anyway.
Make them know. Right? So it's something that, is very close to my heart. It's something that I'm really, really focused on, and I know you are too. We've talked about it a lot. Today in Port of Spain, on not an unrelated note at all, there is unrest, there is protest over the extrajudicial killing of 3 men.
Yep.
And now some communities are in an uproar. People are upset. It's really, really crazy. I'm not really sure what to think about it.
Well, I know what to think about it. So I'm from Mova, and in fact, as Kevin Sawyer would say, when I'm fighting, the first thing I say, but you ain't know me, I from Mova, So I'm from Mova, and the 3 people who were killed, Joel Jacob, Noel Diamond, Israel Clinton, killed on the weekend in Mova by police. And it's not the first time that young Black men are being killed by police in Mova and in other what they call hotspot communities throughout the country. And as you'd say, the shit had a cut. I've been writing about this as a journalist for years. We as Trinidadians, we love, we complain about what the American police do, but we love that shit. We think it makes us feel safer because these guys who are being shot are called pests in the press. They're called known to police, which, as Abiyo Jackson was pointing out, is a dog whistle for, Black, young, possibly unemployed or possibly working in drugs.
Yeah.
And we know about this, but we have been complacent because a lot of us feel secure when the police shoot these boys who are known to police or who are pests. We feel safe, but that's bullshit. You can't feel safe when somebody else's human rights are being trampled on. You can't. That can't give you safety.
Yeah, and I think that our insistence all the time on othering people, we do that because we are fearful. We are creatures of fear, full of fear as human beings. And it is a survival mechanism. It keeps us alive, but it keeps us divided as well. So now it's like I am afraid of these people. I'm afraid of young Black boys and men, because I believe they're the people doing crime. Any sort of personal interaction each of us may have had with crime, maybe that's what it looked like. When you get your pockets picked or you get your purse snatched, maybe that's what it looked like. So, we take these experiences and we just throw them across the board. And there's a great belief in punishment in our society. And I'm here to say very definitively, as satisfying as I may imagine punishing somebody for doing something to me directly or indirectly is, that does not mean that it is going to work or it's best for the society. We confuse vengeance with justice a lot.
Right.
In our society. And, I have a very strong restorative justice philosophy that I got from, doing my postgraduate work in mediation studies, from working in theater, working in outreach. And I'll tell you something, unless we start talking to people in their own individual subjective realities and what they're dealing with, it's just not going to work out. It's not
Well,
going to work out because we're just going to keep building fences and walls and prisons and guns. And
you
it's
know,
just escalation.
on last week I watched this stand-up comedy special by Roy Woods Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that the queer community in America has done the best job of policing shit that happens to them, even down to language. You
Yes.
cannot say gay anymore. So
Yeah.
what he was proposing is that it's kind of fucked up. You start calling queer people niggas, you'll see how quick that word get banned.
Wow, that is pretty fucked up, Lisa. I agree.
It's pretty fucked up.
This
It's
is
pretty
given
fucked up.
trouble. This is given
But
trouble. That's what I'm saying. So Rudy's here. He's standing by
hey, Rudy,
and
bring in
ready to
Rudy.
go. So I'm gonna bring you in. Pooey. Hey.
Hi,
Hello.
hi, hi.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Hi.
Welcome to the Given Trouble Show. This is Rudy Hanamji, and he is the chair of the Pride Festival, Trinidad and Tobago Pride Festival, and we're really happy to have him on with us. So thanks for coming in, Rudy.
Of course, monkey know which tree to climb, and I like trouble, so I'm
Oh,
glad to be here.
that's good because we are troublesome. We are troublesome.
Yes, we have
Um,
some trouble now, right now. So tell us, we've been hearing some wonderful things about, now of course last year we took part in the Pride Arts Festival. We were,
Yes.
our show
Scandal, the
Scandal
Pride
show.
edition.
Standing room
Was-
only, I remember.
was part of the festival, and this year our broadcasts are actually part of the festival as well. But I want to say we've heard some things that are kind of concerning us.
Fair enough.
So, Lyrix, take it on.
Okay. Oh, me as the real troublesome one. All right. Okay. So Rudy, there have been accusations that the Pride movement, and yourself in particular, that you are not acknowledging or in sympathy or even empathy with the Black Lives Matter movement, and that it's something that you haven't taken a real stance on. And in this time, that is perceived as, it's very kind of for me or against me right now. And I know it's harsh, it's justifiably so. What is your feedback on that, on some of those negative feedbacks, on people's perspective about you and about PrideTT?
Whew, there's a lot to unpack there.
Real things.
So
Sorry.
let me see how I could get through all of it, and I welcome dialogue about these issues because they are complicated. There are cultural. I was listening to you all speaking earlier, and even in our country, there are cultural tropes that we need to move away from, things that we have accepted over time. So it is an ongoing learning process. Even in the queer community, people still will use an incorrect pronoun or they will misgender within the community. Far less for non-queer people. So it's an ongoing process. So I welcome the dialogue. First of all, I want to start by saying PrideTT is made up of close to 30 persons and groups that sit on the management committee. As a matter of fact, you yourselves participated last year in one of the stakeholder sessions and you saw the diversity in the room. Many of these people are in their own right very empowered, which is our theme, by the way, this year. They are very independent minded. And trust me, if there were issues happening within Pride that warranted criticism, and not even just criticism, but warranted people taking action, you would see that happening. And I want to give them their credit. There's a narrative sometimes that Pride is Rudy and Rudy is Pride. Now, part of where that comes from, as we are unpacking it, is that I do have certain privileges that I acknowledge. And those privileges give me access and insulation and protection that allows me to do this type of work. Even being here with you today, in the committee, I asked other persons, would you like to join in? And some people, based on where they find themselves, they would prefer to not have a public presence like this.
Right.
So at the first instance, I acknowledge the privilege, and I acknowledge that it's easy to equate Pride with me. As with other organizations, people tend to equate them with who they see as the main lead. Now, Amanda McIntyre, for example, was one of our programming partners last year. And tonight she's actually moderating a session we're having. It's our second live chat, and it's actually called Black Queer Femme Activism. And there are other persons on that panel like Faye Ferdinandus, Eva Chavez, and even a special guest from South Africa, Wanalisa Zaba, among others. And when Amanda and Abeu, if I remember correctly, when they organized a protest or an initiative, let's not call it a protest, let's call it a public position on Black Lives Matter outside the U.S. Embassy. We were one of the first organizations to acknowledge her work as PrideTT. I mean, everybody talks about the screenshots these days and the timestamps. It's all there publicly.
You have your screenshots, Rudy.
I have my
timestamps, but
yes. So we acknowledge the work, and we did similar to other organizations. We actually took a position that Black Lives Matter was important as a global phenomenon, and started having discourse. And that's why everything aligned sometimes in the universe, because we were planning this session tonight and others before Black Lives Matter took off as it did globally and in Trinidad. But it allowed us the space to then sort of angle it in a different manner.
Guys, I'm sorry, Rudy. I'm just going to pause you for a second. I'm just going to bring Brandy in.
Oh, great.
Hey. I'm sorry, Brandy. I was not. There's a little screw up. I am so sorry.
That's okay. I'm just having my midday tea. So good time.
Welcome. Welcome, Brandy.
I'll just close off, and I know Brandy was listening. She can of course add, but we're angling it because even in looking at the commentary on Black Lives Matter, as I'm sure you saw yourself, there were layers and levels in our country where people either didn't understand the significance of it, they thought it was irrelevant. They asked questions like, well, if you are for Black Lives Matter in the States, why don't you do protest action here for Black people in Trinidad and Tobago? One of my pet peeves is the prisoners on remand yard, for example, many of them young Black boys who are there longer than even if their sentences were carried out, right? I looked at all of that, the committee looked at all of that, and that's why sessions like tonight are important, because we need to continue to demonstrate in a real way, not just by putting a post on social media, but by actually using our resources and our platform to have these hard conversations and work it through. So I want to say categorically, and hand it over to Brandy at the same time, that PrideTT stands in solidarity with all marginalized groups, and in particular Black lives, because Black trans lives, even in the queer community, are still the most vulnerable. So, Bran, I know you're a member of the committee. Bran, you share with them as well.
Now that you've come off your soapbox, let me introduce Brandy. Fatigue. Brandy Rodriguez, chair of the TNT Transgender Coalition. Welcome to the Given Trouble Show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your fabulosity. Putting your fabulosity to the Given Trouble Show. Feel free to jump in and respond as you know, to Rudy's.
Okay, I will just pick up from where Rudy left off in terms of now I have a big thing, and really, I have a big issue with the LGBTI, you know, the community in where trans women, how trans women actually is most marginalized, most vulnerable, and is the least respect paid to. Because, I mean, trans persons on a whole has to be their daily selves, has to be their authentic selves as soon as they raise up, to get by. And trans women need to be, as trans women, you're out there. With the gay man, you're still protected because you might be privileged. You might be passable in terms of masculine, not feminine. You know, the bisexual. Who knows who's bisexual? Nobody can really tell who are bisexual. And but the the lesbian women, it's more acceptance. So
Sure.
this year I was thinking, because we after Sunday when we do the launched the Sasha Fierce Fund, I was saying, Brandy, you know what you should do? Advocate for the month of Pride. Let's go let them say LBGT. Put the T in front of the L and the G and the B. Let me see how that's give trans women an opportunity to say, well, okay, at least for 1 month in a year, I first. Because the community in terms of visibility, in terms of um navigating, in terms of being who you are, the challenges start, you know, as you start your day. And this is what there's no connection, and there's no people thinks, there's no education and understanding where that is concerned. So I
Right.
just want to share that in terms to open this, and I'm really good. I really want to stay good for PrideTT, because in terms of trans women, the trans coalition has not had this kind of support ever. I think Pride for me, that's why I say Pride is not for Brandy, but Pride is for the community who are vulnerable and marginalized. Because my NGO, I work with PLHIV, sex workers, LGBTI, and migrants. Those are the people that I work with, and we have to empower these people. We have to, be there for them. And I was given the opportunity as a black person, as a black trans woman, to show I got the support from Rudy, because when my funders told me earlier on this year, because I got a project from Frontline AIDS to do, they said you are the most photogenic person. You have over 600 plus photos, and that started with being there, being out there,
Yes.
doing the work that we're doing, educating and sensitizing and trying to build bridges and gaps with communities, government, other NGOs, because I've been working with family planning since 2006. Um, in terms of access to healthcare for marginalized groups, sex workers and trans women. And, I've been a trained navigator with the Ministry of Health, navigate persons to access services, HIV services. And when I mean, that wasn't enough to stop, because we had, so much more going on. And when PrideTT came up, we had the opportunity to really show what we wanted to get. We as trans women, because we understand what the challenges were. We
Yeah.
understand how and what is really going on in the community, because the most of the persons have been the challenge with the LGBTI community is we have the most issues, and everything started with trans women. The Stonewall stuff
Riot. Yeah.
started,
Started
the
with
riot started
trans
with
women.
trans women. In India, the people that really advocating for LGBTI community is trans women. And
Yeah.
this is the same thing in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of setbacks and disconnection, but I am really pleased with the support that we get from Pride. And and knowing the challenges we have and the least amount of privileges, I get this support. I understand what the challenges are, and I really want to say how it's important to be, sharing this information with you now.
Mm-hmm. I want to say that I hear what you're saying and I agree. And the TLGB plus
Mm-hmm.
community.
You know, I was kind of beating my head and properly saying,
We just turn it around,
And
yeah.
with
We can
you.
just turn it around to just
No, no,
empower.
no.
We have to
When
empower.
I was a young person in coming up, it was never LGBT. It was GLB.
Yes, yes.
You remember that? It was
Yes.
GLB, and
Yes.
over time
Yeah.
it became LGB, and then they added the T.
The additive,
So
yes.
I mean, this is it is whatever we want it to be, and however we make it. So why
Mm-hmm,
can't it
mm-hmm.
be trans? But Rudy, I want to thank you on behalf of the national community for taking the big stone and bottle that has come with this kind of rule, because you're gonna be at anything you do, people are gonna find fault.
well, I have
Yeah.
I have a quick question about that. One of the things that I always like to ask people who represent marginalized communities, including those that represent my own, right? All of them, is where do you think we are failing? Where are we failing to communicate to the normies, if there's even such a people, out there, for failing to communicate so that people are not getting this message. They are not showing the respect. They're not educated. Where are we failing?
Wow. I'll go a little bit back. I went to Queen's Royal College, and I'm very proud of that fact. And I think one of the best decisions my parents made was
I like
to
your
send me
I
there.
like your cement.
No,
I'm a
don't
prejudice.
worry, we like you. No, but
Uh,
why I start there is because it forced me to realize that the world wasn't all the same as my world was in my bubble.
mhm.
And from that age, I was introduced and exposed to other people's identities and lifestyle in my own country. And I think that's where it starts. It starts at a basic education level, at the family level, where
Yeah.
too often we insulate our children and they only have interaction in the schoolyard. But then when they go home, bullying, racism, prejudice are all learned behaviors. Where do we learn it from? So we, as the newer generation, and I'm saying all of us, all of
Including
us
the new
here, yeah,
generation, please.
all of us, yeah,
New generation.
it starts with us, where we have to pull up each other. We have to educate our friends. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have because you don't like to have tension with your family and friends. But I think that's where the main gap is. It's not an easy gap to close, but that's where the main gap is. Then on top of that, I'm in the in between. I'm a millennial, but those that are coming up after me and the ones that came before, there is a communication gap going on there because there's a lot of activism and communication happening on social media channels that is not happening in the traditional press. And people feel frustrated and they feel angst and they think nobody's listening to them. That is also, so those of us in the middle, we have to stand our ground and try and bridge those two together. And somebody like myself, we have to know when to shut up. We have to know when to take a back seat and allow other people. And when I say allow, it's not in a pejorative sense about, well, here I giving you. No, basically just I go
Get what
like
it
this
is.
and they
Yeah.
come. And that is important as well. So that's what we try to do at PrideTT. We try to, we have members from older generations, young generations. The door is always open. People can leave, they can come in, but that's what we try to do, because I don't preach to people and not try to practice what I preach. And yeah, that would be my simple, humble advice. I'm sure other people have other things that they would throw out on the table, you know.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I mean, the young generation coming up have, many of them never even have picked up an actual newspaper. They don't get their news from mainstream press. They get their news from social media, and it's a weird kind of echo chamber. Social media can become an echo chamber. If all the people on your feed are the same, all you hear is their views. And so it does not actually open itself up to understanding other people's positions at all. I mean, I don't know if there's an easy solution to it, but I think having integrity and being able to, stand up and say, this is what I'm doing. I welcome all to come and join me and work. And I think a collaborative approach, like what PrideTT has, is good. And if people have a problem with what's going on, join.
Well, I'm really
Come and join. Come and join. Be a part of it, you know.
And how do they join?
I think we have such a culture of why all you don't go on, why you don't go on, why all you don't do this, where the people who supposed to, why nobody not standing up for the, and we never look at ourselves, and that's why I really applaud, you, Brandy, in particular. You've been putting yourself out there. As you say, you have how many pictures you said you have?
Over 600 plus photos. I did not even know that.
More than me.
That's your online count, right?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of representation, that willingness to be seen, because I know it's not comfortable.
It's not. It doesn't mean comfortable at times. Yes, it does. There's a lot of pressure family-wise, but I just tend to move it off.
Criticism very well. We've looked at what people have been saying. We've released statements in response, and it's a learning process. We have over 30 more events to go over the month, almost online. And each of those moments, last night we had a conversation with Jason Jones, and he was very, he himself admitted he's an abrasive person when he's ready, but he also called for collaboration. And
so do you think
community?
No, Rudy, I mean, I know you mightn't like the term, because he's a nice fellow from a nice class, but he's a badass. Right, Brandy?
I own that.
They're talking about Jason Jones. He's another badass, right? So, no, because that's what we're talking about, to be able to take this level of discomfort, right? So, Rudy, people come for you personally all the time.
Yep.
Whether they believe it's justified or not, right? Whether they believe something about it, they say, oh, he's this, I'm going after him for that. Brandy, people come after you personally all the time, right? And this affects your personal relationships, your work relationships, just walking down the road to go and get I wouldn't say a cup of coffee. I try not to buy coffee these days and save money, right? To get a bag of nuts, right?
Yeah.
Right? So being able to take this discomfort, I mean, how badass do you need to be on a level of 1 to 10? Because I think a lot of people look at you and say, I don't have that in me. What do you say to those people? How do I increase my badassery?
Is there like a medication, or do you have like an exercise regime? Do you use like wash your face with oil? What is the thing that increases your...
A lot of people not interested in taking leads, and especially in this community, and when you could do it, for me, I think what worked for me was, man, you need to do this. And I keep telling myself, if you don't do this, somebody else will have to, because most of my friends who started transitioning with me from in the late 90s. Everybody going to Amsterdam and Canada and London and New York
Right.
and they leave
Fight
me to
or
fight.
flight.
I fighted my own fight and then when you calling me on the phone, oh God, girl, good work, good girl.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to this last night, good, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody run.
You need
And
a
I
you need
say,
a you need a cash app.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Don't
Say
just say
thank
how
you,
much you love
send
me.
money.
Show
Send me
me.
money
Yeah,
to this account so I can keep doing my work here.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right?
Even
Exactly.
if it's call, I mean, at least, and they do call and there is, they always give you the good because they know that they don't have the belly too.
Yeah.
And there's people who supported me, like the Family Planning Association, PrideTT. I have good connections in the ministry. I've had because I Carla a lot to get what I want, and
Badassery.
yeah,
You have
I'm
to.
going to do a course on badassery. I'm going to interview.
I've built relationships, with Dr. Sipru and a lot of persons that really I could count on in right here. But I think honestly, you see, colored privileged Trinidadians who are in the community tends to it is there's a lot of disconnection because they look at Rudy, especially Rudy. Rudy, everything is Rudy. It's not the community, no Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy, everything wrong to be Rudy. And that's not what it is. It's everything is based on anybody could say anything about Rudy, just get it blame. I don't like it.
But
Honestly.
can I say one thing though?
Brandy bad for you, Rudy.
Can,
She real
can,
bad,
can I
she real
just say
bad
one
for
thing
you,
though?
Brandy. She real bad for you.
Anytime anybody stand up to do anything, they always get
Mhm.
attacked. But
Yeah.
what I would say is that my experience of working with the Pride TT is that it's been very open and very much what you bring to the organization.
Mhm.
It is acknowledged, it's significant, and your voice is heard. However, I want to encourage people who've had a different experience to come
Mhm.
forward and say, not just whisper, not just post innuendo on your
Whoa,
Facebook
we like
or
that, sir.
your IG, but come out and say there have been town hall meetings, there have been stakeholder meetings, they have a wide open Facebook page, and they have a website. Come
Mhm.
forward, say, because this organization and this festival, one is even so, if you don't like Pride and you don't like Rudy and you don't like, start your own goddamn organization. I go join. I go join. You
And we will
understand? You want to
support.
have
And we will
I just go
support.
United
to open up
United
an
Bullets
NGO.
of Pity Valley? I did.
I come in. You will have your own show. But guys,
Yeah.
we have gone very, very much over our time limit.
Very much. It's
But
40
I
minutes.
want,
That's twice as much as
we have no rules, right? We can do whatever the fuck we want.
because we give in trouble.
So I
It's
want to ask you
badassery.
guys, badassery.
Yes.
That's my new hashtag. Okay, everybody use it. Um, so tell us how we can be involved. What's coming up? What can I do? How can I support? How can I not just be a weak, pathetic preacher on the sidelines, feeling a type of way? How can I step up to the plate and have my own badassery around this?
So let me give you some quick things, Lyrix. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your quick things. This year, Pride 20, we played on the 2020. We said 20 2.0. We taken Pride to the next level because we say placards, parties, protests, they have a space and a value. But you need to get into the community and do real work. So we are creating an LGBTQI database for skills and businesses. We have an HR database if you're looking for employment. We have an online artist database. So visit the website, PrideTT.com, register yourself. We are going to focus on promoting our people. Carlisle Chang was a member of this community and he created the national flag of this country. We contribute to the national development. And when I hear stories like Brandy's and others that during the COVID-19, we were not able to get or to access our own government state support, that bothers me. So you see, this year is an election year. You really want to come forward and support. We have a needs assessment every Wednesday night. We have town hall meetings on politics. Queer votes count. Come out. You don't have to show your face. You could change your name on your Zoom call, but you can give your opinion. You can participate. And we are going to develop a census. And we are going into that election campaign this year and mobilizing all of our people. Lisa talk about where you said, Lisa, where you live in Petty Valley.
City Valley.
Yeah.
We want all the votes in Petty Valley. We're going to mobilize them and let the MPs say where they stand. And you see all those marginal seats across Trinidad and Tobago. The only marginal they like is marginal seats, but they don't want to talk about marginalized people. So that is how people could help us. That is how they could participate in this year's Pride. And we having a motorcade. We taking Pride all across Trinidad and Tobago. It's not about Port of Spain anymore.
Wait, hold on. Me not no car. How I could join the motorcade?
Hello, we organizing a party, bus, transportation, carpooling. You have to be in the motorcade, so don't worry.
It's free.
I have a car girl. I have a car girl. We go be in the
Hey.
No. It have a lot of people. It really have a lot of people, particularly younger people and some old ass people like me, don't have car. You know what I'm saying? Especially in these hard
what we recommend is we're gonna give you the pit stops, like where the groups are congregating. You could start there, and then you could meet us at the grounds where we're going to end off for the after party. So we're still having a community initiative, but because of COVID-19, we couldn't have the parade, unfortunately. So we thought, well, how could we get compromise? But you want to get involved, as Lyrix said, go join us right on our pages, submit your forms on the databases. Just do whatever little bit you can do, because you may not know. You will save a life that you will never know you saved. But when we get feedback, our reports are online. Every year we submit an annual report. There are excerpts from commentary. And I will end on this note. Somebody said, if during the month of Pride, that is the only time I can be who I am, it is enough for me to wait an entire year for Pride to come back around for me to be myself again. And you see, when you read things like that, it moves away all the fire and the stones and everything, and you focus on your work and your community, and you let your work speak for yourself.
I just have one quick question, Rudy. We just have a question, comment question, and the person is basically asking if there's any places, halfway houses, safe houses for people who've been kicked out for coming out. Is that something that PrideTT has some sort of a link to or any information on?
I will defer to Brandy, because Trans Coalition is a member of the Alliance for Justice and Diversity, and she might be able to speak more because that's what they focus on. So I'll defer to Brandy.
The Alliance for Justice is all the NGOs combined together to support mental health capacity building, and also build the source cases in terms of the place to socially and whatever you need to be done. Now, we have just mental health capacity, psychosocial support, and cases. We have to, there's somewhere we could get any kind of social help. We have that at the moment. In terms of space, there's different NGOs like Friends for Life will be doing, accommodation, looking for accommodation from time to time, because we may have instances like this. Over the last 2 years, we had a few, nothing starts smoothly, but we tend to have this kind of rollout. So there
are some options around that.
So
that's wonderful. What about people?
Sorry, just to cut, not to cut you, Lyrix, just to ask Brandy, how do people get in touch with those resources?
Well,
Yeah.
if they get in touch with any of the NGOs, we will directly straight to, we'll take the complaint straight to their last in
So,
terms of,
okay.
yes.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you. And
Yeah.
in terms of underage young people who might be coming out and having these issues, is there any? Because I know that's extra ticklish, you
Yeah,
know.
you
Because
remember there's the
you are
law,
child.
yes, there's the child protection law. And we have a lot of cases like that because of recently, a lot of persons come to me um, when I ask them their age, because one of the first questions, how old are you? Because I want to make sure, you know, in order mind. And, but
And
even now,
you are a lightning rod for this. You know, you're so
yeah, you
visible.
know, they would
So
come, but,
people
you
come
know,
straight to you.
Randy, can I have an HIV
Maybe
test? When
not straight.
yes, you understand. But if they ask how you know what are my chances? Can I have an HIV test done? Can I get certain things done? And once we have the support, once I can support, definitely I will. But I look at legalities, and there's an increasing number. You see that age 15 to 17, the numbers have increased a lot, and especially with this pandemic now, younger girls out there and you know asking about condoms and you know because they're more involved in sex work, and
Mm.
we have to understand what is really going on with the community, what is happening, and we have to be connected, and you have to be out there. A lot of things that goes on, people doesn't really is not aware. But this pandemic has increased a lot of things that we don't want to talk about. But I have seen I'm ready for the conversation. I'm hoping that we could get the support because for this month of Pride we having, you know, free testing, HIV
Oh,
testing,
excellent.
and most of and you know for that month, and if you do have an ID, they will create, you know, most people wouldn't tell their right age,
Mhm.
especially if you're a minor. But the fact of the matter remains, they want to be tested. They
Right.
are they are sexually active and they want to be tested, and you can't, you know. All I could say is, well, try. Yeah, I mean, I can't break the law for you, you know, but you have to try to see to get what you want done. And
But
so we
Silver
have to
Lining's
do it.
not active anymore. Silver Lining.
Yes, silver lining is still active in terms of psychosocial components that is involved around children and families, stronger families.
Right. So, okay. So, all right. So there are some
Yes.
resources. I would encourage people to go and check out the PrideTT.com website, and check
Mhm.
out, you can read reports, you can see the events planned for the month of Pride. I want to thank Rudy and thank Brandy for joining us. We have been edified, uplifted, and strengthened in our resolve. Thank you
Yes.
for all the work you do, and thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing this moment with us. And hopefully, we'll see you soon on a bus or in a car and waving a
Give
flag.
in trouble. I'll
Give
see
it
y'all
trouble.
and give in
You
trouble.
give real trouble today, boy. Oh, 20
But the
minutes
re-
Oh my
is
God, we've
I,
given almost an hour of trouble. We need to
I
go.
hope you should use that hashtag for real, you know. I using that hashtag now, right?
Give it trouble.
No, badassery.
Oh,
Sweet.
badassery. That's a,
bad.
yes, that is
Somebody
true.
give me the perfect spelling in the
Badassery.
comments too, so we have it. It is now
But
a thing. Hashtag
thank you
bad
very much.
assery. All month of Pride.
Thank you. We
So,
thank you very much as well for giving us an air and for allowing us to use your platform the same way people can use our platform. We're very happy to partner with you, and we wish you all
Yeah.
the best. And we can't wait to see all your other shows for the season.
yeah,
Woo.
man. Soon
Yes, yes.
come.
Thanks so much.
Thanks
Like and
so
share,
much for
guys.
being
Like and
so.
Yes,
share.
Yes,
Really
yes,
appreciate it.
same.
Right.
Yes.
Take care,
okay.
guys.
All
Bye.
right, be safe.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye. Oh gosh. Well, we real talk, Gil. Look, it's
Yeah,
minute to one. Oh,
that was a bag of fun and then some. And I
allow
just want to
me.
say
Allow me.
to the viewers out there who may see this later or see it now, guys, get off your ass. If you can afford it, please donate. heavily. This is a cause that needs a lot of support. People are out there suffering, as you heard from Brandy in particular. There are a lot of people living on the margins who are not surviving. People are not surviving this. So give generously, go to these platforms, inform yourself, find out what's the landscape, who does what, and get in position.
Yes, get in position.
Right?
6:30. That's my position. My position is that on Thursday we're gonna have our second. We're gonna have our second show in this series on the how I put it now, the TLGBT. Nope.
I wouldn't even try. I don't have
TLGB
that kind
plus.
of brain scenario.
I write it down. The activities for Pride. We're gonna have the only other out bisexual comedian in Trinidad. That would be Simi Trini as our special guest. So looking forward to that because that is a girl can talk shit. I love me some Simi Trini.
So getting it on it's on online. Otherwise, who knows what might happen.
I'm married. I'm being a good wife.
Joke about how people think gay people have no morals. You know.
Oh.
Didn't work. I haven't been a comedian that long.
I just have a dirty mind, so as soon as you suggested, I'm like, no! Because I'm feeling guilty inside.
Well, I thought of it, so I guess my mind is just as dirty.
Dirty.
And on that note of dirtiness, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for your support. Thanks for tuning in. Go support any form of the LGBTQI that is in Trinidad and Tobago or around the world. Come on, guys. Let's end otherness and let's have hashtag badassery. On power. Yeah. So, have a good one. See you on Thursday. At 12 noon-ish. Ish.